Hey folks, today I'm coming to you from my classroom. Decided to use the chalkboard because I am a chalkboard supremacist here for my 10 good minutes. Please go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. I'm trying this with a different microphone because I feel like the other microphone was sort of too much, a little bit too loud. So anyway, I'm sure you will let me know in the comments if this microphone setup is bad, and I'll go back to the other one and figure it out. But today I wanted to talk to you. I saw on Netflix the other night with my kids this show, this documentary called the Gabby Petito story. I believe that's what it's called, like American Murder, something like that. It's a three-part documentary about a young woman, I believe she was 20-ish, thereabouts, who went missing after she and her boyfriend decided to buy one of those sort of small vans and kind of do this YouTube van life kind of thing. And she was really cute, had a good personality, really cute on camera, and I could see why she sort of thought she and her boyfriend Brian could make a go at it. Number of things struck me about the show. Number one, just as an English teacher nerd, I I found myself correcting people's grammar the whole time. At least it was silently. I didn't bother my kids with my grammar correction. But nonetheless, I was really struck by just the sort of the senselessness of it all. She met him, I think she was from Long Island, and she decided to move with him down to his parents' house down in Florida. And that was sort of a sketchy situation. Apparently, the mom, I'll circle back to her in a minute, Mrs. Laundrie, did not care for her son's girlfriend. And so, anyway, goes down there and lives, a life. And it looks like there's, like most relationships that are kind of unformed and unfocused, it's a big mess. So, at any rate, she has this dream of becoming a kind of YouTube influencer, and she's going to document her life and do this sort of thing. And you see these things on the YouTube. You can look at the van life type things, and it's very romantic and it's very well shot. And you have these people who can make their entire livings just kind of filming themselves as they drive around the country in beautiful settings with camping and all that sort of thing. So at any rate, their relationship is breaking down. I'm not sure how much of a relationship they had, how real it ultimately was, but at any rate, their relationship is starting to break down. So they do this van trip as a way of maybe doing something, kind of focusing the relationship. And apparently she really wanted to do this. He was decidedly less keen on this idea. At least that's the way the documentary kind of frames it. And so they go out to a number of different places, and I believe they're in the foothills they go to Moab, Utah, and they have a run-in with the cops because a local person called and reported a man slapping or hitting a woman, and it's a white truck with Florida plates. And so sure enough, the police officers track down Gabby and Brian, and they pull them over. And there's some pretty strange body cam footage. This girl couldn't have weighed more than, I don't know, like 110 pounds. She's a small in stature. And he was, I don't know, probably around 150, 160 pounds. It wasn't a huge guy, but, decidedly larger. He's a man after all. And so anyway, the cops pull them over, and she's in tears and she's crying, and she immediately starts talking about her anxiety and that she got into a fight with her boyfriend, and it's like it's not a big deal. So anyway, they separate the two of them, and they determine that she was the aggressor because apparently he has sort of scratch marks on his eyes. And he is right away saying, oh, I was just pushing her away, that kind of thing. So anyway, they separate the two of them. They put him in a distress hotel for domestic abuse situations. They give her the van, and they tell them don't talk to each other for a whole for a whole, night. You can see each other in the morning. They, of course, break those rules. They jump in the van. They go on up toward Grand Teton, I think is where they wound up. Anyway, the story is super sketch, and they separate for a night because he wants to go hiking apparently, and she wants to do some editing, and the computer suggests that was true. Anyway, it turns out that he murdered her unbeknownst to anyone. And the parents, of course, have been out of touch with Gabby for now, a week, 10 days. So anyway, as it turns out, he abandons her murdered body in the park, drives back to Florida, but while driving back to Florida, uses her phone to sort of pass messages back and forth to his phone and to other people's phones, in addition to sort of transferring $700. He goes home to Florida, and the police eventually arrive because the missing persons report is in place. And the police, I'm really telling the story too long, I'm sorry, but anyway, I know, I'm going to get to the point. The police get to his house, and he won't come to the door, and his parents say, he's not talking, we're not talking, and here's the number of our attorney. So anyway, the situation escalates, it becomes a national story. Perhaps some of you have remember it when it was being talked about in 2021, thereabouts. And so, but what struck me was that the police officers find a note written by the mother to the son, and it sort of says, burn after reading, which is, pretty intriguing, pretty hot. And so in this letter, the mother expresses her deep love for her son and says, I will do anything for you. I will get a shovel for you, and I will bury bodies for you. Anyway, and it really got me thinking, that's just an extraordinary thing. And we often hear about the power and the strength and the glory of a mother's love. And we rarely think about what are the limits to such a thing. And so I recall reading something, I think it was in C.S. Lewis, I think it was in Mere Christianity, but I remember him sort of talking about the idea that a mother's love could be too much. Like there are greater things beyond a mother's love. And I remember thinking it was kind of funny when I read it years ago, but that immediately popped into my head because, a mother's love simply must have limits. And does this sort of twisted love that the mother has shown for her son, does it in some way kind of create a kind of monster that we see unfold in this documentary? In other words, as soon as he didn't get what he wanted, as soon as he, had his beef with his girlfriend, Brian, kills her. And obviously that's bad. I don't, that this is not the part that I'm fixated on. But what I'm fixated upon is how can you put a mother's love in its proper order? And so therefore, the question that you have is, can you love something too much? And the answer is yes, of course, you can love something too much, but it's not a terribly popular thing to say, that you can love something too much. And does the too much love, like to love something too much and in its wrong order and its improper intensity and in its improper way, does that warp a person? Does it warp the person who receives that kind of love? And it's rough at this point to even sort of call it love, because it's not love anymore, it's something else. It's a kind of warping force. And if you don't love something, and I really should say, when you don't love someone properly, not only does it warp you, the one who is extending the affection to the other person, but it warps that other person in ways that are not immediately apparent. Now, maybe this is one of the reasons why, in the sort of the proper order of things, you've got a mom and a dad, that you have siblings, that you have extended networks of family that hopefully become a kind of school of love. And absent those various factors, you can find yourself going down pretty dark paths. And at the end, I'll just end on this. How much time we have? Yeah, pretty good. All right, I'm still under the 10 good minutes. In the end, what struck me about the documentary was just the senselessness of it all. You have two young lovers, and I am sort of a fan, basically, of young love. I think it's a powerful force, but it's a force in this instance which is completely lacking all direction. And the idea of putting all of this energy into sort of curating a kind of YouTube profile, without much substance behind it, is a kind of strange fantasy of the era of image. Not only does the era of image mislead we, the audience, but it also misleads the actor in the scene. And here I am right now, I'm in a frame, and I understand that I'm playing out a profile. I'm trying to be conscious of that, of course. But neither Gabby nor Brian have much of a sense of purpose. And it made me kind of sad. Obviously, it's a tragedy. He winds up killing himself, and after he kills Gabby, and the families are forever changed, and all the sets of moms and dads are twisted in ways unimaginable to me. And I just keep wondering, is all of this downstream from a sense of no purpose, no direction, no calling, no destiny? So I'd like to challenge you all to sort of think through these questions. I do think you have a calling and a destiny. And when we don't become clear about our destiny and our calling, we're capable of all kinds of monstrous and seemingly meaningless things. So anyway, a little dark, but that's what I'm thinking about today. Cheers. Oh.